Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Select Board meeting of November 17th. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So just to let people know, this meeting is being recorded and broadcast live on Easton Cable Access Television, and it will be available upon demand after that. I do want to have the Select Board members introduce themselves, starting with Jamie.
Jamie Stebbins.
I'm Jennifer Stacey.
I'm Mark Lamb.
I'm Dottie Fulgenetti.
I'm Craig Barger.
And Town Administrator Connor Reed, Assistant Town Administrator Sean Bowman, and Executive Assistant Elizabeth Hegg. This meeting is hybrid, and so if we do have people on Zoom and they do have any questions, please put your name and address in the Q&A for our records, and then Sean will keep an eye on it and let us know if you have any questions. So with that, we're going to go right into the 6 o'clock public hearing, and Craig, if you'd read the public hearing notice.
Select Board of Easton, as licensing authorities, will hold a public hearing in the Colleen A. Corona Boardroom. The town office is 136 Elm Street, Easton, Mass., on Monday, November 17, 2025, at 6 p.m. to consider and act upon the application of Vadvanel LLC, doing business as Easton Wine Company, for a transfer of an existing Section 15 off-premises package store wine and malt beverage license from Manaben Megha Corporation, doing business as Easton Wine Company, to Vadvanel LLC Corporation, doing business as Easton Wine Company, for premises situated at 25 Washington Street, Easton, Mass., with a plan on file at the Select Board's office.
Thanks, Craig. So we have manager Sahil Patel and his attorney Libby Pisano. Did I pronounce everybody right? Yes. All right, if you'd like to come up to the table.
Hi, good evening.
Thank you for being here tonight.
Of course. My name is Elizabeth Pisano. I'm from Upton, Connell, and Devlin, counsel for the applicant Vadvanel LLC. With me is Sahil Patel. He's the 100% owner and proposed manager of record for Vadvanel LLC. This application is to transfer an existing Section 15 package store license at 25 Washington Street, which is inside the Roachboro supermarket. There's already an existing one there, so we're just looking to transfer it. There will be no changes to operations. He's simply just taking over ownership. And he meets the credentials for being a manager of record. He's a U.S. citizen, Massachusetts resident, familiar with the rules and regulations relating to the sale of alcohol, and he has experience in the package store business. His father owns package stores, and he's grown up working with him and for him, so he has experience, and he is tip certified. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Sure. Do you want to just tell us a little bit for people at home that may not be aware of, so this is the little, not little, but sub-store inside Roach
Correct.
Brothers, where if you're in Roach Brothers shopping, you can get beer, wine.
Beer and wine.
Beer
Yes.
and wine? And
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yep. It's within the supermarket. So he has his own POS system, his own aisle. There will be an employee there specifically just handling the sale of the beer and wine.
Terrific. Jamie, start with you. Any questions?
No, I don't believe so. So good luck with the business.
No questions. I'm familiar with the location, and best of luck.
Thank you. No questions, best of luck.
No changes at all in the layout or anything like that?
No.
Excellent. Well, thank you for doing business in Easton.
So the only comment that I'll have, and then I say this to everyone that comes in for a liquor license or a transfer of a license, is that we are a college community, and we take that very seriously. So we do have compliance checks twice a year, and we want to make sure that you know that your staff is trained, fully trained, because if somebody is served that's underage, then you'll have to be before us, and that's like the worst night for you and the
Yes.
worst night for us. We don't want to have a business come back to us. So I just want to make you aware of that. There's always a situation where something happened and somebody forgot to card somebody.
100%
It doesn't matter if it's an accident or not, we have to act on it. So just, it's great that you're tip certified. Just make sure that all your staff realizes, and if you're using the same staff, I'm sure they're aware because we haven't seen them, so just make sure of that. We're very happy for you to choose Easton, and really look forward to success for you. So,
Thank you.
Craig, if you'd like to make a motion?
I move to approve the transfer of Section 15 off-premises package store wine and malt beverage license from Matabin Magyahed, I'm sorry about pronouncing that wrong, Corporation doing business as Easton Wine and Company, to Vadaville LLC doing business as Easton Wine Company at 25 Washington Street.
Second.
So that's Bodger and Lamb, and we'll do a roll call vote on that.
Stebbins, yes.
Stacy, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Fulgenetti, yes.
Barger, yes.
Perfect. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great
Thank you.
night.
All right, Connor, do you want to go right into the tax?
Yes, our next hearing.
Okay. All right, Craig, if you'd read the public hearing
Yep,
notice.
just a second, let me get it. In accordance with Chapter 40, Section 56 of the General Laws, the Easton Select Board will hold a public hearing at 6:05 PM on Monday, November 17, 2025, in the Colleen A. Corona Boardroom, Easton Town Offices, 136 Elm Street, Northeastern Mass. The hearing will include a brief presentation on the issue of allocating the local property tax levy among the five property classes for the next fiscal year. Interested taxpayers will have the opportunity to present either oral or written information on their views. Those wishing further information may contact the Select Board's office.
Okay, great. Wendy, do you and
Thank you.
BJ?
I believe we have the Finance Director, Wendy Nightingale, along with Chief Assessor BJ Devereaux here to give a presentation. We also have two members of a Board of Assessors here with us, which we appreciate. We have Vice Chair Ron Hanberger and I'm so used to saying Chair McKenna, but we have Clerk McKenna as well. So thank you both for being here.
Just put in presenter mode, yeah. Let me know when it's up.
Good evening.
Is it showing?
It's on.
Before I
No,
show
where Sean's asking about the presentation.
Is it in presenter mode? I'll check.
No, it doesn't look like
That's okay. Yeah, it is. It'll show up on the screen the right way. Let's.
Good evening.
There you go.
Okay, great. Welcome to the annual classification hearing. We're going to review the FY26 assessments that have been approved by the state, as well as growth and different options for shifting the tax rate. So if slide one, you can see the overall residential class has gone up by 5.4%. Commercial's up 4.9%, but the majority of that is a couple of large growth parcels that we captured. Without those two, we would have seen the commercial industrial would have only gone up by 1.13%, excuse me. Personal property has declined slightly. We undertook a complete review of the personal property this year. That's something that we're going to do in phases. But the first phase, we captured a net of 48 new personal property accounts, but we did delete 30 accounts that had left the town. We also reduced the value of of one of the 504 accounts. We also lost some value on the solar accounts because those are under tax agreement and they depreciate every year. So that's why you're seeing the personal property count is actually personal property has actually declined slightly this year. We also implemented new depreciation tables and personal property depreciates at a much faster pace than real estate, so it does impact that. The next slide, we're just going to look at the median single-family assessment and average assessment. They're both up 5.6%. We did see a pretty substantial jump of 7.3% in the two-family assessment. We had a number of two-family sales in calendar year 2024, and as a result of that, the two-family assessments were raised. The median condominium assessment is up 2.9%, and the average is up 3%. So overall, the residential value increase was 5.4% versus 11.4% the prior fiscal year. The next slide is just showing the maximum allowable levy. It's important that you know what the levy capacity is. The FY 2025 levy limit, we take that number of $68,875,000. We didn't have any amended growth from FY 25. We add on the 2.5%. That's why they call it Proposition 2.5. For the folks who may be watching at home or in the audience, Proposition 2.5 doesn't mean your assessment or your taxes cannot go up by more than 2.5%. It means the entire taxable levy for the town can't go up by more than 2.5%. So that's a common misunderstanding that I think a lot of taxpayers have, and I just want to point that out. Our new growth for FY 26 was $1,115,500. That gives us our FY 26 levy limit of $71,712,000. And we add to that the debt exclusions, and for a total of $79,094,000. The next slide just gives a historical picture of the new growth. Going back as far as FY 2020. Growth was down a little bit this year, but certainly on a historical basis, it was much higher than years 2020 through 2024. Industrial growth, the primary drivers of that were all the work you might be seeing happening down at the LNG tank, as well as capturing the final phase of the Beacon Sales Warehouse down on Turnpike Street. Residential growth, obviously, it's such a large part of the tax base, obviously outpaces the others. The next slide is just a breakdown of the assessed value. You'll notice that all the groups went up except for the personal property, which I explained earlier. But as a percentage, they all relatively, they didn't rise by a tremendous amount, but in dollar value, they did. The total assessed value of the town of Easton for FY 26, not including exempt properties, is $6,082,135,270. The next slide is a breakdown of the shifts and how the different sectors would bear the shift. So the first line there where it says 1 is no shift, that would be, if you were to adopt a single tax rate, it would be $13 per thousand for everyone. And as we go down, a 1.5 split shift would be $12.75 on the residential, $14.95 on the commercial, industrial, and personal property. So that's what's happening here is you're shifting the tax burden to the commercial, industrial, personal property sectors, and in turn lowering it on the residential properties. And 1.5 is the max for Easton. That's at the very bottom. That would result in a residential rate of 1218 and a commercial industrial rate of 1950.
And we're currently at 1.15.
And Wendy, I believe last year we're at, what, 1.2?
No, 1.15.
FY25 is 1.15, FY24 was 1.2.
Okay, thank you.
This next slide is just showing how value change and shift change would impact the median single-family home value in Easton. The median single home value is up $36,500 to $684,450. That's a 5.64% increase over FY25. A 1.2 shift would drop the tax rate from would raise it from FY25 to $1,267 per thousand, and a 1.25 shift would bring it down slightly to $1,259 per thousand. That translates to an increase on a 1.2 shift of $586, and on a 1.25 shift of $531. So basically, it's about a $55 shift for every increment. Down below, you're going to see as the shift goes down, the commercial industrial tax rate increases. Since commercial industrial properties are so different, it's very difficult to kind of take an average of them. But what I've done is I've just taken an example here that, hypothetical example that a property with, that was assessed at $1 million in FY25, on average had a value increase of 1.31, and that would be obviously a 1.3% increase over the prior year. And as we extrapolate that out, it would be on a 1.15 shift, it would be an increase of $516. On a 1.2 shift, it would be an increase of $1,174. And on a 1.25 shift, it would be an increase of a little over $1,800. And the percentages of those increases are at the bottom also. The next slide is a breakdown of nearby commercial tax rates, so you can get a better idea of where Easton stands versus some of its neighbors. Just as a note, Sharon is the only one of these communities that does not shift its tax rate. They have a single rate. But as you can see, Easton is at the bottom of our neighbors in terms of it has one of the lowest commercial industrial tax rates in the area. The next slide is just to give you an idea of the residential rates. Again, Sharon is leading the way there. And then we come down to West Bridgewater, Mansfield, Norton, and Easton is kind of in the middle of that. The towns below Easton all shift their commercial industrial rate property tax burden significantly, much more so than Easton. This next shift this next slide is a little bit more of a breakdown of the shift. What the adjacent towns, how much they're shifting, and what their commercial tax rates are. As you can see, Easton's second from the bottom, with the highest being West Bridgewater at 24.55 versus Easton's 2025 rate of 14.63. Taunton and Brockton do the max shift to 175. That's a local option. So what the votes that are in front of the select board tonight are to vote on a tax shift. The Board of Assessors did recommend a shift of 1.20. Also, whether or not to adopt a residential exemption, which was not recommended. The residential exemption is only effective in communities that have a large percentage of non-owner occupied properties, because that shift stays within the residential class and it goes on to the non-owner occupied properties. It's effective in communities on the Cape with a lot of second homes. It's effective in communities around Greater Boston with a lot of investor-owned real estate. But it really wouldn't move the needle here in Easton because the majority of properties are owner-occupied. And the last vote is whether or not to adopt a small commercial exemption, which is, again, is not recommended. The small commercial exemption is great in theory. In execution, it doesn't really seem to deliver. A lot of times, so for instance, if you're a commercial tenant in a building and you're granted, we can somehow grant you that. It's up to you to get the money from the landlord. It's a very cumbersome exercise. And that's why I think if there's more than a dozen, it's only a couple. I don't think it's certainly less than 15 communities in the whole state who have it. And that's the end of my presentation.
Okay, any impressions right out of the gate from the board?
I'll just ask Dottie, so we were 1.2 in FY '24, we were 1.15 FY '25, now we're talking about going back to 1.2. What was our decision going 1.15 into '25 from '24?
The numbers just worked out so that we didn't have to shift quite so much, because we also knew we would probably need to shift more this year. So we just stayed at the 1.15, knowing that would probably be very likely.
Okay.
There was also a discussion about not putting too much of a burden, additional burden on commercial. Wasn't that part of the conversation too at the time?
Well, I think that as we've had a bit more, take a step back. Historically, Easton has been a single rate community for all of time up until extremely recently. But as residential values started going skyward at 10+% a year, the functional effect, had the Board of Assessors and the board not started to shift that, would be that many businesses would have tax bill decreases as residents were paying larger tax bill increases. And so both boards have taken a position of kind of cautiously moving that shift. Was up at 1.2, it came down to 1.15. I think one of the more important pieces of the calculus for the select board was that you were in the second year, in the middle of years of issuing exempt bonds, right, which have an impact on the levy from the municipal building project. The exempt bonds for Blanche Ames are largely done, and the board wanted to still have room to navigate and not, before those bonds are being issued, start pushing higher towards that 1.5. So we're at 1.15 now. The Board of Assessors has recommended 1.2. I asked Wendy and BJ to also include the comparative data of our neighbors, because I think that matters, because we have the second highest, while our tax rate is middle of the pack, we have the second highest residential tax bill.
Because of our home values.
Because of the home values.
So strong, which is a good thing.
Yes, on
but
balance.
Not a great thing on your tax bill.
So the town has always been very cautious in this, but I felt that that was good data to have because of that question that folks sometimes say, well, we don't want to be uncompetitive to business. But I think when you see that the average commercial tax rate all around us is nearly $20 per thousand, and we're currently 14 and change, that it's my opinion that the board has room to navigate.
Yeah.
Right.
Obviously thoughtfully, but.
I would love to hear more about how the Board of Assessors landed on 1.2. That would just be helpful for me, because I'm bouncing between 1.2 and 1.25 right now, and I want to honor that they had a process around thinking about this. So I don't know if there's anybody who would want to speak to that. Sorry to put you on the spot.
BJ, if you could just hand the second mic. I don't know where the mic stand went, but
Would you repeat the question? I'm a
Sure.
little
So
hard of hearing.
I would just love to hear how the Board of Assessors landed on 1.2 through your deliberation and your analysis.
We started, based on last year, there was a big jump in the assessments of commercial property. And we took that into consideration when we lowered it to that year. And then we wanted to go up to the 1.2 to offset the big increase that they had last year and not overemphasize it and leave room for potential for another next year when we keep trying to keep up with the assessments. And, you know, one of the problems with assessing is that it's the theory of 12. You can have an assessment of 4 and a tax rate of 3. Then the following year, you can reassess and have a value of 4 and a tax rate of 3 and come up with the same operating budget.
Thank you.
yeah, I think that's a good point, Ron, about the operating budget here. Folks, especially as our budget has gotten so tight and difficult for our operations, that say we'll just do a max shift commercial. That doesn't actually increase your revenue, right? So the question of the shift is where does that revenue come from proportionally? But that obviously has an impact on the actual bill for people that you could see up here. The difference between staying at 1.15 is an average of 641. You go to 1.2, it's 586. You go to 1.25, it's 531. You go to 1.3, it's 477. I do think it's worth pointing out, although no one likes to see taxes go up, that those also include a large portion of the municipal building project debt coming online in those. So that's both the normal Prop 2.5 and exempt debt increasing. And when we had gone to voters in 2023 for approval, what we had forecasted by this year would be coming online for the police, fire, and public works would be $625 of impact for that project, which, as you could tell, the entire increase is less than that, because what the actual number is closer to is about $350. So that helps. But
Now, the other question I would have would be what we hear a lot about folks providing input to us on their residential tax bill, but I've not heard from anyone personally on commercial tax bills. And has there been feedback from the commercial, industrial property owners about the impacts?
I would look to the assessor, because that's more of an abatement question.
Yeah, we had approximately 100 abatement applications last year. I would say probably 40% were commercial industrial properties. Not all those, some abatements were granted, nothing on a large scale, but just, we take that as an opportunity to go out and look at the property, make sure our data is correct, make sure, we're assessing it correctly, make sure there's not something at that property that we don't know about. Maybe there's, extensive deferred maintenance or something like that. About, I'd say approximately 10 of those properties have elected to appeal the decision of the board to the appellate tax board.
Is that a pretty typical load of abatement requests and
It's-
ratio relatively consistent?
It's hard for me to say being my first abatement season in Easton, but,
Reval year as well.
yeah, it was a reval year, so I think it was
More
probably
activity.
higher.
Yeah.
Than you'd see, because the commercial industrial values did go up a lot. What you're appealing is your assessment, but invariably it's, people look at the tax bill and that's, they're, what they're dissatisfied with sometimes on that. It's so, but that's just to, again, to let people at home know, that's when you file an abatement, you're appealing the assessment, not the increase in the tax bill or anything like that.
Thank you.
It seems, I'm looking at the 1.25. It seems to go from 1.15 to 1.2 is like the smallest incremental step possible that we could possibly do. And, the spectrum is up to what, 1.7? So
It's up to 1.5 by default, but you can, by adoption at town meeting, go to
Okay.
1.75. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. And actually, we do that in the 5% increment just to make it look, but I mean, technically you could say 1.22 if you wanted. That's not,
I do see
that's not
I see a
prohibited.
2.6 and a 4.7 and a 3.8 up there, but
Yeah.
we don't have those prepared for you, so. Just to be
can
completely
extrapolate
honest.
the differences. It just seems, I like the idea of going a little bit more than the smallest incremental, even though I know it can go at any increment. And a question on the Board of Assessors, was it a unanimous vote to move to 1.2?
It was not, it was a 2-to-1 vote.
It was a 2-to-1 vote, okay. Curious, what was the one vote, what did that person want?
I really don't feel comfortable speaking
enough.
for the
Yeah,
chair,
yeah,
to be honest with you, but.
Okay. So I mean, I'll let the conversation play out, but in my mind, I'm thinking 1.25, but
Yeah, I concur with Mark. I think that's, I'm looking, can you go back that slide where it shows the tax rate for residential? I'm looking at a current rate of 1248, and that would bring it to 1259 at a 1.25, rather than 12.67. I think that we are all concerned about residential property owners, and I think it's fair to be reasonable about it, and I think that the 1.25 makes more sense to me.
and where we fall on the spectrum of
Yeah,
our
compared to-
commercial tax rate,
yeah.
we're very low. Even at 1.25, we're
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
insanely low.
And it's very much in line with the surrounding communities.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that we have the lowest residential bill as percentage of per person income. That's significant to me. So I would push for the 1.25.
Can you move to the slide that shows the bar graph of where we are for the residential? So we're right in the middle.
Right.
For the tax rate.
But for the
Yeah.
tax rate.
Yeah.
Right.
But we are one of the highest of the actual tax bill.
Yes.
Was second from the
Yes,
high.
the tax bill,
values are high.
yeah.
Yeah, because our
Right,
values are high.
because the
yeah.
values are high, but
Yeah.
it's still, the tax impact to people is second, second from this sampling. But for the commercial, we're well below the mid-range on that. So I feel like there's more room to grow on the commercial side, and I feel that we should go to the 1.25 also.
I'll add to that too. So even if you go to 1.25, we still don't go beyond the next highest commercial tax rate. We're still under Rainham, which is the next lowest one.
You went by it. So it's like everyone's least favorite
Yeah.
thing to do, to have to navigate slides.
We're still
here.
well below
Yeah.
Rainham, which is, so we're still, our standing doesn't change. So it won't compromise attracting people in the area. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
As long as
agree.
we fall below that next guy in line, we're safe.
Yeah, I agree.
Any reaction to that, Jamie and Jen?
Oh, I was kind of on the line between 1.2 and 1.25, so I feel like I agree with the sentiment enough to say I'm comfortable with proceeding with that.
more I talk about it, the more I'm talking myself into 1.3, but let's just stay at 1.25.
All right, settle down there, Mark.
The residents will thank me.
Any comments or questions on Zoom, Sean? Anybody in the audience have any comments or questions? All right. I want to thank the assessors for the time that you put into this and the attention, and your office, BJ, as well, and Wendy. Craig, do you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I move
Can
to.
we go back to the ending slide with the recommended, yes, but it sounds like you're perhaps at a different number, but those are you need 3, an affirmative vote and 2 votes not to do things.
Okay, so one at a time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so on number 1, I move to vote the tax shift to 1.25.
Second.
So that's Bodger and Lamb. All in favor? Unanimous. Next.
I move to not recommend an adoption of a residential exemption.
Second.
That's Bodger and Lamb. All in favor? Unanimous.
And thirdly, I vote not to adopt a small commercial exemption.
Second.
So that's Bodger and Lamb. All in favor? Unanimous. All right, great.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you. Thank you, assessors. Appreciate it.
All right, next.
Dottie,
We're going to
you wanna-
move up.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
We're going to move up the town administrator notes to have Connor give a little bit of information on some current events.
Sure, thanks, Dottie. Appreciate having a moment to share some personal news, which is that I have accepted an opportunity to start the next chapter of my career and pending execution of an agreement, intend to conclude my 14 years of service to Easton by the end of January. To ensure a smooth transition, Dottie and I will provide a framework of key dates to the board by your meetings in December for the recruitment of a successor, including the board appointing a town administrator screening committee. And this week I will be issuing requests for proposals for qualified search firms to get that underway immediately. We'll ensure that major priorities for the town, like the budget and bargaining, are still advancing and on time, that the town is prepared to advance to a ballot in April and a town meeting in May. It's been a privilege to serve this town and this board, and an honor to lead the incredible team of department heads and staff here that Easton and the residents here are exceptionally lucky to have as the public servants serving them. Again, this is not like the formal, there will be more coming, but word spreads, so I wanted to take a minute to acknowledge that at the top of the meeting, and Dottie and I will have more detail to share, and thank you.
Great. Anybody want to make a comment or?
I'm going to reserve my comments for now.
All right.
I was going to say your comments about the residents being lucky, but we've also been lucky to have you, so.
Thank you.
First off, congratulations. We've been lucky to have you for 14 years, and it will be a loss. We will get through.
We will.
But I wish you the best of luck, and you're not gone yet.
I'm not.
Yeah, I echo congratulations, well-deserved. It has been my privilege to work with you since April of 2017. I think you've done an extraordinary job. I have enjoyed working with you. I think the residents of this town have benefited from your leadership. I have to say it again. I say it every year. And,
We were waiting for it.
yeah, I know you are. That I was privileged to be the third vote in 2017 to hire you as our town administrator, having gone through a particularly difficult 2016 and early 2017. And I have absolutely never, ever regretted that vote. And I think the town has benefited enormously from your leadership. And I wish you well. And I think the people in Westwood are extremely lucky to have you coming there. And it's a terrible loss for us, but
Congratulations, Connor. I've been starting to make some notes of the accomplishments over the time, and I'm running out of space on my very long spreadsheet. We've accomplished a lot together as a team here. One of the things that I think that I want to call out specifically is that over the years, all of the hires that you've had, we have exceptional staff, exceptional department heads, and this is when you're really happy to have those people, because we are going to continue to deliver service to the community the best that we can, and we will do a search and we will bring somebody else on. And things are not going to be the same. They're going to be different, but we are going to do the best that we can to manage through. So I appreciate you letting us know, and we are going to, obviously working on the details of ensuring that everything's, the budget is ready to go, and all the loose ends will be tied up. So, all right.
Legacy you're leaving behind.
Thank you. I will. I'll miss working with you all terribly.
Well, let's transition to some great news things. The next announcements and proclamations, we have an announcement and a vote of acceptance. The MBTA Communities Catalyst Fund grant for the Belmont Street Sewer Extension Construction Project. We were just received an award of $1.35 million for that, which is
Awesome.
Really exciting. It's an amazing accomplishment. Thank you to the voters of Easton that voted to support the MBTA communities, because if it wasn't for that, we would not have gotten this grant. And communities that have plans to grow their housing in a thoughtful and productive way. We spent a long time with the community getting feedback and figuring out where we wanted to have the housing. It's exactly according to the plan, but getting this, this funding to make that happen is really great. Any comments or questions?
Hey, great job again. And in reserving my comments about counters, because, the list is too long, and we've got a few more months to work together, which I'm excited about. And I'll just say there's frustration that I have, not with you. I'm very excited for you and for your, continued personal development journey, and for your family. I think that's fantastic. But there's frustration, and it's why we're where we are right now. But I'm very excited that for the next couple months, all the hard work that we've been putting in, that we'll continue to put in together, that we've got you to be there to help work on that. So, and this is just another example of the laundry list of things that we can point to over your tenure that we've done as a community. And when we talk about your performance reviews every year, and the only things that I could ever say meets expectation is when we don't give you the tools to do your job, when we continue to take away and expect you to do more. So Westwood is very lucky, but they're also giving you the tools to succeed and be a very, very successful person there. And everyone's going to be proud to work for you, just as they are here in this community. And you're going to have what you need to do the job. So congratulations.
Thanks, Jamie. So we need to take a vote to accept the $1.35 million for the MBTA Communities Grant.
So I move to accept the MBTA Communities Catalyst Fund grant for Belmont Street Sewer Extension Construction Project in the amount of $1.35 million.
Second.
That's Bodger and Lamb, all in favor? Unanimous. The next big grant and announcement is conditional vote of acceptance for a Massachusetts Federal Funds and Infrastructure Office grant for the Industrial Park Sewer District of $1,835,000. This is matching funds. We've applied for an EDA, Economic Development Grant, in the same amount. It's about a $2 million project, and as the federal government has been closed for a while, we're waiting to get feedback on that from them. So this grant is provisional based on getting the EDA grant, because this is the match to that. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we hear soon about the EDA grant, and that's going to be a huge benefit to driving progress in the industrial park, which has been on our roadmap for many, many years as a priority target. So that's, how did you get all these to wrap up at the same time? So we'll need to vote on that as well.
So I move to accept conditionally the Massachusetts Federal Fund and Infrastructure Office grant for Industrial Park Sewer in the amount of $1,008,135.
Second.
That's Bodger and Lamb. All in favor? Unanimous. And then last but not least, another grant, or not a grant. It's from the Massachusetts Interlocal Insurance Association, otherwise known as MIA. This is for $9,894, and it's a safety equipment grant. So I want to thank Mary for this one in particularly. I think some of these grants kind of get lost in the shuffle of the big grants, but these are through the insurance company, and Mary really does a great job in HR, taking advantage of anything that we can to get more points, more value to be able to get some of these grants. So this is a big deal, even though the amount doesn't look like a lot. A lot of work goes into getting these, and every dollar that we get makes a difference. So thank you to Mary.
And to Todd and DPW.
And Todd
who
and
manages
DPW.
This as well.
So I move to accept Massachusetts Interlocal Insurance Association grant of $9,894 for safety equipment.
Second.
That's Bodger and Lamb. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay. Next, for licenses and permits, we have a road closure request from the Easton Women on Main's second annual holiday shopping stroll, which is going to be Friday, December 5th, 2025, 4:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. And we have Condra Goldrup here from the Farmer's Daughter. If you want to come up, Condra. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey, Meredith, how are you? We can give you guys another chair. You want to?
You can just pull one. You can just pull one up. It's okay. Perfect. We're less formal than.
So please introduce yourself and your business. So we
Condra
know.
Goldrup, the Farmer's Daughter on Main Street. And I'm Meredith from Stash Jewelry and Gift Shop on Main.
And I'm Jenna Grelli, owner of Bloom Aesthetics and Wellness on Main.
Excellent. So tell us, what is the holiday stroll?
Yeah, so this is our second annual little kind of women's networking because we're super proud. The majority of the businesses on our little Main Street in Northeastern are all female owned.
Yeah,
So-
more than a majority.
More
like
than a majority.
All but maybe two.
A few, yeah.
And a brand new one that just opened.
Two brands, yeah.
With
Well,
Pearl
few
and
additions.
candies, yeah.
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 So last year, we kind of pulled together kind of a mini version of this because we saw a little bit of some natural kind of chemistry happening amongst the businesses. And both Jenna and Meredith's business were kind of newer to Main Street at that time. So we kind of been brainstorming throughout the year. We did another mini version of this in the spring. Decided we wanted to do it again in the holiday season again because we definitely had a pretty good draw for that. And then recently, Amy Rodriguez from the Shoveltown Cultural District reached out to us, so she heard we were kind of planning this, and offered for the cultural district to kind of team up with us and have this great idea of maybe expanding it into something larger this year.
Yeah, so because last year, we just kind of had, each business offered us like a promotion that was, their own individual promotion so that shoppers would come and they would just pop into each location and see whatever the sales and the deals and the situation was, right? You were open later than normal and everyone was excited about that. So that's what that was. So we wanted to kind of grow it, make it more of an event than just pop in and shop. Like we just kind of want to grow it a bit.
And I think the feedback that we got from our first two initial events, real great energy. We saw a lot of people come out from the community. Lot of requests around, can we do more of this?
Yeah, when's
And
the
so
next one?
So the goal
Yeah.
is, while to keep it very, to obviously highlight the fact that women-owned businesses, to really pull out other synergy in that space, other female owners or business owners, and just try to make it more of a bigger event.
Right, so having the street closure will give us space to add other community members who are maybe small business owners or have kind of home-based stuff that they could come and bring that to the area as well, and some other ideas that we have to try to make it like more of an event than just come to Main Street and shop, right?
And this is probably not the week of Small Business Saturday, but it's right around
It's
it,
right
right?
around it,
Yeah.
yeah. I feel like it's always that.
Let me-
Actually,
let
I
me-
feel like it might be that Saturday, actually.
Let me see.
Yeah, it could be perfect time.
Great.
All more reason to support local, right?
Yeah, I always remember it being right around the holiday.
Yeah.
Right after Thanksgiving, usually.
Yeah, it might be the weekend right before you go through it.
Okay, that's great. Any questions from the board?
I'm just going to say I'm super excited. Obviously, I patronize all the establishments, and Meredith has helped me out with pretty much all the gifts for my wife for the last 2 years, to include our anniversaries. when I walk in and I go, what do I do? So thank you.
It's
and
been
thank
so
you.
fun.
Thank
It's
you
November
all.
29th, Saturday, November 29th.
I'm very
thank
excited.
you.
So thank you guys.
Yay.
Thanks for being here tonight.
Yeah, I had friends who attended one of the previous events and said it was awesome. But thank you all for like doing your business in Easton and making the downtown so vibrant. I can remember years ago when there was not a whole lot going on there, and it has just totally changed. And you can see the draw to the downtown. And it's really just such a magnet for folks to come to the community and check out Easton. So thank you all, because you've been a big part of that. So.
Yeah.
We think it's pretty special.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's just so nice on the main street of, festive time and kind of expand what we're already doing in the community.
Yes.
I feel like this would be a nice extension, and I think hopefully we continue to grow this into bigger things each year. So kind of chipping away at it.
Yeah.
Well, Jamie, I didn't know this incredible asset was there. I'm going to have to check this out. But
Maybe
Personal
shouldn't have given up my
shopping.
secrets, you know?
now everybody knows.
Or
Now
don't
my
let your
wife
wives
knows.
meet. Then
Yeah. But no, I think it's fantastic. I love the fact that majority of them are women owned. It's funny, the other day, my daughter, she's 12 years old, and like her and 4 of her friends, it was a half day. I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, we're going to go down, we're going to get lunch, and then we're going to go to the shops and the candy store and go to all the little places and like all
I saw
on
them
their
all
own.
walking by with their candy bags.
That was probably
For
my
sure.
daughter and her friends.
Yeah,
It was a group of girls seeing other, women running downtown. So I love that. Fantastic.
I think we've created a little, it's a little infectious in a good way in that sense, because it's just been so nice that all the new additions are like just another business. I love telling my staff that. So just this week when we were announcing the other, newer things open, I'm like, it's another female-owned business. And I can see other women staff, their face kind of lights up. So,
So I haven't shared all of this with my daughter, but now I'm going to go home and be like, oh, by the way, did you know this?
I'm very excited that you're doing this. I really appreciate it. Jen was talking about what downtown used to be like. We've been here for 45 years, and I mean, it's a huge difference between what it was 45 years ago. So I really appreciate what you're doing, and I'm glad that Jamie gave away the secret, Meredith. So maybe we can come I hope my wife's not watching now, but we'll see. So congratulations, and thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you.
I was just listening to a book recently, and they were, talking about the time periods of things happening. It wasn't that long ago when women could not even get a loan. Their husband had to do it to get capital for a business or any kind of a loan or a mortgage. So, and it wasn't that long ago. So, I mean, I feel like we're making great strides. I think that there's always the more attention that we have on this, the better. And the fact that, women businesses are working together to empower that whole economic center downtown is amazing. And just even for people thinking back, like we take for granted, I think, the things that we can see. It wasn't that long ago before, COVID gave us outdoor dining, right? And we also worked through COVID to remind people you can still eat outdoors in November. It's not necessarily that cold. And when I've been walking by there lately, there's still people that are eating outside, and I think
They
that's
changed us forever, so I will always be grateful for the town's support on
Yep.
that, because it's hard to imagine we operated without that. So, and to see it downtown too, I think.
I can't believe
We all drive around Main Street, I think it's just, would feel different without that piece there, so.
right.
It's awesome.
And, the clock that Avery Lee Williams put in, and, just block by block.
Streetscape and the sidewalks. I wanted to say, Condra, you're one of the first businesses I worked with in my very, very, very early career here when I was out in the lobby still. So
You beat me. I was going to say, on a personal note, I just wanted to say congrats on your next venture, because every time I come into the town offices, my memories are opening my first business here, and Connor was such a huge asset, and I'll always just be grateful, because as a female opening, I'd run businesses, but I'd never opened my own before, and I wouldn't have made it through that process without your support. So
You've
I
done
can't thank you enough. 'Cause
wonders
every time I
for
sit
the
in this chair,
community.
it's what I think about.
Thank you. You've done wonders for the community, and it's awesome to see where downtown is today. Thank both of you as well.
And it is part of the cultural district, which expands all the way from Oak Ames Hall all the way down to Langwater Farm and everything in the middle of that. So having those touch points of connection with all the partner businesses through there, you get your produce from Langwater Farm, like all those interbusiness relationships are so important. What was it? I had one other thing, but it just slipped my mind. So I'm just going to jump right into what you're looking for is a road closure for the event that would begin at the intersection of Mechanic and Main and then at the intersection of Sullivan and Main. And the road closure is going to be from 4:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Police, Fire, and DPW have reviewed the request. Police Chief Boone recommends 2 detail officers, one at Main and Mechanic, one at Main and Sullivan with cruisers, and he also recommends that the DPW set up detour signs as needed. Amy had told me that I'm chair of the cultural district, so we just met about this a couple of weeks ago, and that what we do in the cultural district is have a know before you go to let people know if there's detours or where they should park and things like that. And she said that she would be able to help you with that, I believe. So that's, people should know that. And you guys are great at social media and the moms share everything. So that'll be awesome as well. I know what I was thinking. This is the Friday night of the holiday festival also. So you'll have increased visibility for that. What a way to kick off the weekend, right? So
That's what we were thinking. A good little seasonal cheers. So that's
Yeah.
all the festivities. So.
That's right.
great. So if somebody would like to make a motion on this one?
I move to approve the road closure request from Easton Women's of Maine's second annual holiday shopping stroll, Friday, December 5th, 2025, from 4:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m.
Second.
That's Bodger and Lamb, all in favor? Unanimous? All right, I'm going to skip over the Shoveltown Brewery and go back to that, so don't let me forget. But the next one would be the Women of Maine Holiday Shopping Stroll, one-day beer and wine license. And so we all know the details of that. The police have reviewed the request and advised that no other police detail outside of those required for the road closure will be required. So there will be 2 police officers on hand, and you all know how to serve your alcohol responsibly, so that will be a nice feature as well.
So I move to approve a one-day liquor license for Women of Maine holiday shopping stroll, Main Street, December 5th, 2025, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. with a storm date of December 12th.
Second.
That's Bodger and Lamb, all in favor? Unanimous, terrific. Well, congratulations, I look forward to joining you on the 5th, and very excited for this collaboration.
Thank you all for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Good night.
See you
See you
later.
guys.
And I will go back to the Shoveltown Brewery at Oaks Ames Memorial Hall. Divas with a Twist concert at 1 Barrow Street, which is Oaks Ames Hall, December 5th, 6 p.m. to 11 p.m., so it's the same night. Frank Alteri's requested a one-day beer and wine license for this event. The Easton Police have reviewed the request and no detail is required. I will say, if you don't have your tickets to Divas with a Twist, grab them soon because it's usually always sold out. They're amazing and their Christmas show is spectacular. So you can go on Oaks Ames website and order tickets that way. So, Craig?
So I move to approve the Shoveltown Brewery at the Oaks Ames Memorial Hall Divas with a Twist concert, 3 Barrel Street, December 5th, 2025, from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Second.
That's Bodger and Lamb, all in favor? Unanimous, terrific. All right, so we get all the licenses out of the way. The next, we have update from Walter Hartley from PMA Consultants. Walter is not here.
Sorry, we have reps from
we have
PMA
a stunt double.
and KBA here with us tonight for items 8 and 9, which is an update on our police, fire, public works. Let me know when it's up. Facilities replacement project, along with the second change order for the project. So,
Welcome. How you doing? Greg, how are you?
And Greg Joyner. Did you say? Did you
Joyner.
introduce Greg?
yes.
Things are looking so exciting.
Right. All right, thanks for having us tonight. It's been a while since we've been here. I think July was maybe the last time we were here for change order number 1, so we figured we wanted to give you guys an update on the status of the project. So I'm going to kick it off with our October monthly update. This is something that gets sent out internally, and also it gets posted on the project website. I'm going to turn around so you can see it slightly better here than on my screen. But as you can see, we granted notice of receipt to Fontaine. It was in February of 25. Depot Street has a substantial completion of December of 26. So that project is about 40% complete construction-wise. Main Street is substantially complete in May of 26. So that's about 60%. So it's a little ahead. It's a smaller project. They're doing really good on both sites, and especially at Main Street as well. As far as project status goes, there's been multiple activities on each site. So we also have the third site, right? We talked about the 2 addresses, but Depot Street has 2 buildings on it with DPW in the back. So fire substation, in October, we performed the geothermal drilling for the HVAC system, the framing and sheathing at wall tops in the interior, so already work going on in the interior there. And we installed the radiant heat throughout the building. At public safety, there was a lot of masonry work, as we all saw with the structural steel topping off. The structural steel happened as well. And then at DPW, we were able to get that site cut down to grade, bring it up with structural fill, and begin our footing prep out there, which is currently ongoing. From our milestone dates, we're just tracking a handful of key milestones in this monthly report that we keep on ticking off as soon as we hit those. And since our last schedule update with Fontaine was received, we get monthly schedule updates from them. Everything is tracking per the substantial completion dates.
Great.
That's terrific.
Financial update, so our contingencies, we have our construction contingency and then soft costs, which includes bid savings. So if we remember, this project came in a little under the bid expectation or the estimate during that time.
All right, can I just take some issue with a little? It was like
Yeah.
9 million, so
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is
there we go.
for anyone watching.
So that's why that bucket is so big. It was 9 million low for the at the time our estimate compared to our bids, our competitive bid came in 9 million low. As far as utilization goes, you can see, as I mentioned before, we're about 40% complete with the project, and we've utilized about 2% of the available funds. So everything is tracking A-OK here on the financial side of things as well, which we can discuss during change order 2 as well in the next update. Next, we'll grab some photos of each of the sites and just be able to show everybody how everything's coming together for those that haven't seen or don't drive by or go on the site. So we'll start with fire substation. This is a view from the back, looking over at Main Street. You can see that the roof is already on here. The exterior AVB has been applied. The building has been kind of winterized. You can see it's temped in, so some winter heat to keep things moving along inside and keep the masons working on the outside.
Are these roofs being built as solar ready?
They will be solar ready.
All of the roofs have areas, at least, that are solar ready. The buildings are also equipped with the electrical gear to take solar off of the roof. So though solar's not part of the project right now, anytime in the future the town can go in and add those either as an own system or a PPA like the rest of the town.
Great.
Just some more photos of fire substation. This is actually, you can kind of see them here, but these are the geothermal wells with the tubes poking out of them. So this was the vertical work that was done for the wells at fire substation, and then the horizontal work comes back to tie everything together into the building system. You can see the wrapped portion of the building on the left is wrapped for temporary heat for the masons to continue the brick facade work.
How long will that wrap be up?
This will actually be up probably for another week or so, and then it comes down. You'll be able to see how that side of the building will look with the brick, and then they'll kind of shift it over as they need. Just another picture of fire substation, and then moving over to Depot Street, so the public safety building. They're actually starting the roof this week. You can see that there's material on the roof. They started with the roof parapet blocking, which needed to get done first. So a lot's been done since the steel topping off. Also, underground MEPs have been ongoing and site work on the site. And you can kind of see the messy part on the right side of the picture here. That's the geothermal wells going in at Depot Street.
Just to Mitch, on those geothermal wells, those holes, what's called that mess, those are 600-foot boreholes that go down into the earth. They're filled with a tube, basically, that conveys fluid to extract or inject heat into the earth, and then they're filled with a grout. So that process takes a lot of time to drill, feed the hoses in, and then grout solid. We are down well below the water table. It does get a little messy. If you do notice in the back there, that kind of large gray tank, that's a frac tank, so that is what keeps the majority of the water that comes out of those wells contained, cleans it, and then ultimately releases it on the site as clean water once they're done.
Great. Just another aerial shot that is a nice overview of the public safety building this side from the other side, the other view. You can also see that the stair, it looks like a stair tower. It's actually the training tower for fire on the end, the taller CMU portion of the building. A view of the structural steel over at the admin location, so you can actually see the elevator shaft in this photo as well. And then another photo of the geothermal well rigs. So we actually have 2 on site to try to accelerate the process here because they're taking up a lot of real estate. This is a view of inside the apparatus bay. There's a big block retaining wall. We brought grade up a lot on this site, so there had to be a structurally engineered wall, and this is that wall that you can kind of see along the wood line there. And then making our way back to DPW, we have the bridges. So this is Bridge 1. The abutments were both cast in place, and then there's some beams that are laying across those, and those were precast and came in, were set with a large crane on site. And you can see...
You might have seen the precast on the S curve on Depot
We
Street.
did, yeah.
So
Huge.
for a sense of scale for how huge those were,
That looks small. and
that looks
they
small.
are
It is not
small.
small.
Yeah,
No,
right.
this site is
Monsters.
huge.
These ones were about 40 feet, and the ones for Bridge 2, I want to say, were 65 feet. So those might have been the ones that you saw, but they are large.
Are we going to name that the David Field Bridge?
I'm sure he would be thrilled.
A couple more shots of the bridge, just to give you some scale of it. And then this brings us back to the DPW site, where, as I mentioned previously, they brought the site up to grade with structural fill. They excavated for the foundations, and you can kind of see here that the foundations have started here with the footing work.
They also removed an enormous amount of solid waste from the
Yes.
former use, which
Yep.
was a big part of a cleanup of the project. That was a benefit.
That's so much bigger than I envisioned.
The DPW is the largest of the 3 buildings, isn't it?
It is, and it's the largest footprint, which makes it look very big. It's not significantly bigger than the public safety building, but because almost all of it is on the first floor, because, trucks, that's really what makes it look pretty large.
Right.
With DPW, there's also a very large turning radius around the building for winter operations and just everyday operations. A lot of people moving big equipment around that building. We want to give them room to do that safely. It's a very kind of orchestrated flow around that building to make snow operations really efficient.
Great.
These next couple shots are kind of just to show us our progress. These are our time-lapse cameras on site. So you can see at the end of September, we didn't have any of the AVB up on fire substation, and now the building is completely wrapped and getting prepared for the facade to go on. And then this one is actually kind of eye-opening because it was at the end of September, and then to now you have all the structural steel has been up and the roof work is ongoing, and you have exterior framing as well. So it's good to see these side by sides.
Yeah, it's moving fast.
Yes, it's impressive.
Fontaine's been an excellent contractor.
Yeah, good contractor to work with.
Of course, good PMs and designers as well, but things are going well.
And just our summary schedule here. So from where this started in design to bid to now we're in construction. So fire substation, substantial completion I mentioned is in May of 26, and then public safety and DPW will be in December of 26. As far as key dates and meetings, I just wanted to give an update tonight. So we have that on here. November 18th, we actually have the NBC coming to the site for a walk at 3 p.m. And then December 2nd will be our NBC meeting where we'll have a general update to everybody. And then every month after that, we'll keep providing updates as needed.
So MBC is Municipal Building Committee, just
Yes,
for people
correct. Thank you.
that may not know.
And that's it for the construction update portion.
That's great. Jamie?
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to, I'll be there tomorrow, actually, for the walkthrough at 3 o'clock. So very exciting. Quick on the geothermal, everything going according to plan. And tell me from the moment they showed up on site to when they're supposed to leave, what's that time frame?
So there are 60 wells, I think, on the DPW and public safety site. It takes about a day to 2 days a well.
Okay.
So about
That's
60
substantial.
days roughly. And then there's some lateral work. So once the wells are drilled, they interconnect them all into basically circuits. Those circuits run back into the building and ultimately connect with the heat exchangers within the building to make the system work.
So completion is, because that 60 days is just roughly well drilling, and then all the interconnecting work, and then So you expect they're on site till mid-January?
They'll be on site for a while. I don't know the exact date off the top of my head, but yeah, it's going to be probably a couple more months of them doing the horizontal tie-in and getting it to the building system at least.
Yeah, and it's that system in itself is not critical path right now, so it does have some float in there, so they may, pull off a site and then come back ultimately to do the horizontal once other things are out of the way, as you can see.
Yeah, it's
with the two
tough
drill
right
rigs,
now.
it's a pretty tight site up in the front there around
Okay.
public safety. Obviously, when they get back to DPW, things open back up a little bit, but it's well within their means and methods to do that, and it's not a particularly critical path item, so we have some time.
Great, thank you.
No questions, but I just want to say it's really been, I live near the substation site, and it's been really exciting seeing those changes like consistently. And then don't drive down to Depot Street as often, but when I do, it's always like, wow, so much has changed. So really exciting seeing it all happening. And, I have to say on the Hilliard site, it's been not disruptive at all to the traffic flow of that intersection. And I know some people were concerned about that, but I haven't seen or heard of any issue there. So fantastic work with that.
I can say the same about Depot, because I am by there every day, that when I'm around, and it seems
It's tough for the construction crews getting in and out, but I think for the public on Depot, the outside of like sometimes big trucks coming in, they've done
been pretty impressive.
an amazing job.
And that's great because I know there's been fatigue with a lot of projects around town, so it's really been awesome that that's not been an issue. And things are progressing beautifully. So fantastic work.
Fantastic. It could be 3 days between driving, and I see a big difference in 3 days.
Yeah.
That didn't look like that. So it's constantly changing. Just a curious question for the DPW facility. When's that slab going to be poured with the winter setting in?
You know if they're doing slab before or after?
I think it's after it's a pre-engineered metal building that arrives on site, and then there's erectors that stand it up. So I'm pretty sure the sequence is they get that on site after the footings and the walls are done that it sits on. They'll stand that up, and then they either will have to close it in for temporary conditions and then place the slab. But depending on the sequence, they'll have to have temporary conditions for the winter.
The prefabs coming in like in January, right? And so the idea, in theory, and I know you guys are excited about delivering this in 12 months, is that's going to go from a bare site to a 67,000 square foot building in 12 months.
Yep.
Okay.
It's very impressive. We have friends who have moved out of Easton and they come back once in a while and they go, "Oh my, it's amazing." They comment on how much has happened in a very short period of time. It was very exciting to be there when they were raising the beam up. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see it hooked up because we were off to the side a little bit, but it was good. And Dale Thistle is very excited about the work that Fontaine is doing. So.
Just one thing I would note about the speed and the pace. Construction projects tend to go in a little bit of a cycle, at least visually from the outside. It looks like it's going very, very slow at first. Then it looks like it's going really, really fast, particularly when steel's going up and the building enclosure is starting to happen. Things will appear to slow down. Just know that it's not actually slowing down. We're just inside doing work that you can't necessarily see.
Right.
And really, as you go into those kind of finer details, things aren't as noticeable from the exterior, but know that the pace is there and we are on schedule.
And we'll be able to provide more photos of the interior rough when we get to those phases too, just to keep everybody in the loop on how that's going.
Great. I'd love to get some pictures, particularly of the whole thing, but particularly the substation to share with Father Denning and the folks over at Stonehill, because I know they're pretty excited about it. So very excited about it.
Just to, if I may, Dottie, touch on the budget stuff. Obviously we can't take for granted that all that contingency will remain unspent, but I don't want it to just be kind of glossed over, and I think PMA is so used to it in Easton with both Blanche James and here that we're now 40% way through the project, and we're 2% even with our change order tonight through the contingency. And when we forecast this project based on the budget and borrowing all of the budget, in fiscal 25, we had estimated that voters would be paying $142 a year for this building, and what they did pay last year was $49. And this year, we estimated they would be paying $625 per year, and as of your tax rate being set 20 minutes ago, it is $350.
350
$350.
instead of
$625.
$625.
So I say that not to sound like I'm bragging, but because there was a significant amount of consternation about these projects during the operating override discussion, and I think that it bears repeating when things are going well, that in addition to Blanche James coming in at 285 instead of 433, that this is currently trending significantly under budget at a dramatically lower cost than other communities who now need to build buildings are paying. So thank you to the project team and to the board for supporting these projects and to the voters who did as well.
And it consolidates how many buildings?
Functionally,
10-ish, 12?
all but Frothingham and the town offices. And in a 10-year window, we will have repaired or substantially replaced 95% of all of Easton's municipal facilities.
And just for the record, we've said this before, but it's worth stating every time we talk about this. Every year you wait on these projects, it's millions of dollars of difference.
Yes.
So by doing these together, consolidating, economy of scale, handling this all at the same time.
Had the schools not pushed to expand the MSBA invitation, which feels like a lifetime ago was only Center School, had that been one school, we would still be talking about replacing Parkview today.
Right.
None of these would have gotten done. Yeah. And if they were, then they'd be $250 million projects with multi-$1,000 tax impacts.
So there's great value to this, and then even throughout these projects, whether it was the building project or these, you're always looking for ways to save. When we go through these change orders, there's usually, we saved here, we spent here, and the attention to detail doesn't stop once the construction starts. It's always being looked at by this amazing team that we have in working with the contractor. So thank you very much for all your due diligence and your efforts on this project. And it's going to be done before we know it. I mean, in municipal life, spring is like next month, So, awesome. All right, so next we have the discussion and vote Fontaine Brothers contract change order number 2 for the Public Safety Buildings project.
All right.
Sorry, you may not be initiated. Walter has to get grilled by Craig on every single line.
No, we'll do that. I think you all should have had a copy of the memo that was sent out.
It is, and the green spreadsheet as well.
Yeah, and the green spreadsheet. So just as a reminder, we do have a technical review committee that reviews all of the potential change orders, the PCOs, that get reviewed, approved, and then wrapped up into the owner change orders. So we already have one owner change order that was approved back in July. This is the second owner change order. This has 7 PCOs within it with a total value of $169,352. The first PCO is PCO 1, is for miscellaneous structural steel changes. So what we see on these projects a lot of times is when the structural sets get issued, there'll be some questions back and forth between the contractor, the designer of the steel, the erector of the steel, and these changes get wrapped up into architectural supplemental information that gets issued to the general contractor and their subs. So that's what this PCO accounts for, any of those back and forth little changes that had to occur to get the steel fabricated and erected. The second PCO, feel free to stop me whenever if there's any questions. The second PCO is PCO 6. It was for electrical revisions to the purification chambers. So there was, I believe, a purification chamber in each of the buildings that had to be relocated, and the electrical portion of that scope needed some additional money to get to the new location, and also some additional material in those panels to operate those purification chambers. Next PCO is PCO 8. This was for the foundation for the radio tower. So we knew that this was going to have to be a cost that we had accounted for. It wasn't in the main scope of the project, but we knew it was coming with the radio tower for the fire. So this was for just that foundation work. The tower will be procured separately. We're tracking those funds as well. And yeah, it's just basically a large foundation that this sits on Main Street.
Well, that was another one where this is where Chief Alexander procured the tower at great savings as well.
Well in advance, yeah.
Next PCO, PCO 9, it's for bottle filling stations at fire station and police station. So this is for some plumbing work where we changed the type and the locations of a few of these to better accommodate the design. Pretty low value one to get the bottle filling stations that we wanted. And then PCO 13 is a hydrant relocation at Main Street. So we were called to remove and relocate an existing fire hydrant on Main Street. And rather than doing that based on the condition of the fire hydrant, it was thought that we should just procure a new one. Since we're going in there, this is going to be new. It would be better overall for the project. And so that's cost is associated with. PCO 16 is for rebar and anchor bolt conflicts. So without to get too technical, we had some conflicts where these anchor bolts come out of the foundation with the rebar. The type of connection was then changed and okayed by the engineer, and that's what that cost is associated with because the material had already been ordered prior to this catch happening. And then the last one, PCO 18, is for lowering a footing at fire substation, so cost for rebar and labor and formwork to lower this footing to accommodate the utilities entering the back of the building.
Great.
And that was a mouthful. Did I miss anything?
I think you're good.
So the total of that is 169,352.
Yep.
Great.
I'm not going to grill you guys tonight. Walter's not here, so I won't grill you.
This is an easy one.
We'll
so
save it
we'll
for
take it.
Walter. Yeah.
Any comments or questions?
No, I'll just say again, and we've all kind of been saying it, is that our comfort level with you guys is very high, and we've seen your attention to detail throughout the school project. And so to be here with you guys now makes it, and for us to have all five been through that before, makes this really easy to know that you guys are scrutinizing this stuff and have truly, an exemplary record, but you're like an extension of our team. So it's, the trust level is as high as it could be. So we really appreciate you guys continuing to do the due diligence and keeping us at the number we see, right? To continue to come in not only under budget, but minimal contingency dollars. So thank you.
It's awesome to hear. Thanks.
Very well said. Thank you for the very clear update on the change orders.
Thank you. Keep up the great work.
So I move to approve Fontaine Brothers contract change order number 2, public safety buildings project in the amount of $169,352.
Second.
That's Bodger and Lim. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you for the update.
Good work, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, next we have a discussion regarding potential schedule for the 2026 annual town election.
In your packet's a memo from Town Clerk Danielle Sicard, who's joined us tonight. As the board is aware, you adopted a bylaw, I believe during the pandemic, that allowed some flexibility in the back half of April to move the town election from the statutory 4th Tuesday in April, should you wish, at a public hearing. You have not scheduled a public hearing to take such a vote tonight, but because we have an override, although it hasn't been formally adopted, the select board has taken the public position going on the ballot. Danielle and I thought it would be good to get this discussion moving early. She has included some information in the packet. Danielle is here tonight if the board has any questions. Danielle, you might as well come up. I don't have, if there's any questions from the board. But so.
Hi, Danielle.
And yeah, again, if you take no action, it just defaults to April 28th, which is Tuesday, the 28th.
So what are your thoughts on this, Danielle?
So as I indicated, in the memo, the Saturdays have been really beneficial in a lot of ways. However, I know that this year you're considering doing an override on the same day, making it a longer day, and doing it on the Tuesday. From a long-term standpoint, I don't have no objections to that. Obviously, it's your decision to decide how you want to proceed with that. I do think it's a little step backwards to leave the Saturdays for regular elections that don't have large things on it. Expanded hours, disruptions to the school, parking issues, and the things that we've recovered from having problems in the past. So if you do want to continue with that later on, we might want to consider changing the bylaw and expanding the time frame that you have to actually make sure we avoid the week around school vacation week and the weekend before and after, because quite frankly, the 15th to the 30th really does limit us most of the time.
Yeah, functionally, the weekends that fall, they're almost always bookend the school vacation,
So
which wasn't the
another
intention.
alternative.
It's just the days in the bylaw. And, right.
Doesn't help us this year, obviously, something to consider in the future,
Right.
to be able to go back and have some cost savings and expand that, to not have it around that.
Okay. I'll start with you, Jamie.
Yeah, I mean, because I think that's it. We've talked about that being the issue is when we use those weekends. Like you said, it's families are, you're going to have 50% probably there one weekend and not the other. So, so again, our options right now are to push, we still have a Tuesday outside of,
Yeah, without any public hearing and action, it will default to the
which is
Tuesday,
28th.
The 28th, correct.
Which is that Tuesday following the school vacation.
Yep.
And I can't remember where we felt, because we talked about this a little bit, I feel like, where we were all, I don't know how you guys feel about, I agree that it limits, I think we lose voter turnout on those Saturdays. Where I like Saturdays, for all the reasons that you mentioned, and for people who are working during the week and don't have childcare or can't, juggle getting out to the polls, Saturdays are great. It's just those two are the worst.
Yep.
It'd be like February, it would be the worst too if we were doing this and bookending February vacation.
I feel very strongly we should hold it on Tuesday this year. It's an important year, and I actually have had multiple people reach out to me and ask me to consider Tuesday. And I've had lots of residents in the conversations around the budget and the override discussion that will lead to a ballot issue in April, saying that it's Tuesday is really critical. So, and then the feedback that the week of a school vacation is really difficult, because even if you are around, you often forget because you're off schedule. So I think it's worth doing it on Tuesday, seeing what kind of response we get in that process, and then continue to look at the data and make data-driven decisions about how we proceed after this year. But my strong sense is Tuesday is the right choice for this year, or next year rather.
I completely agree. Without question, I feel just as strongly as you do, Jen. We need to have the maximum amount of people voting. Voters, individuals, parents, families. We can't afford for them to not be able to share their voice and their vote, given what we have going on. And they shouldn't be on vacation that week, so they'll have that opportunity.
Just to be clear, even if they are, they can vote.
Understood.
Right, and which has been the case. I just want to,
people-
I'm not trying to sound
I
I
defensive.
know folks
that.
do exercise
Yes.
that, right? That option, but
Yes.
I think a lot of I heard from folks this year who were like, "Oh, I forgot to request my mail-in ballot," which again, there's no excuse.
I
but-
hear you, and I feel that I should protect Danielle's staff, because Danielle wants to be diplomatic, that people pretty brutally attack election workers in the United States right now. And so I know the board knows this, but for somebody who's watching at home, I just want to make sure it's clear, like, it's not, whether it's a Saturday, whether it's a Tuesday, if you can't make it that day, there's ways for you to participate.
Absolutely.
That's all.
Great point.
Absolutely, and I know every year you do a fantastic job reminding people what their options are. So thank you for that.
I mean, we've said it for the last couple of years, right? What drives the turnout is what's on the ballot.
Yes.
And so in a year like this, when you're potentially looking at combining an override vote at the same time as the annual town election, it would make a lot of sense. So I'm not here to say I don't agree with that in this particular year, but you are going to see a major increase.
Right.
And that, again, is going to default to what I've been saying for the last 2 years. It's because you have an override on the ballot. And so that's, something that we can look at later, but I can tell you right now, I don't usually have a crystal ball, but I will say in an override, that crystal ball will show higher turnout. And it won't have anything to do with Tuesday for future elections.
Yeah.
But we should definitely look at whether or not, how do we get around to the problem? And the way to solve that, to give you options in the future, when we
Change
do
the
have low
bylaw.
turnout, is to change that.
Yeah.
that
And I
range
agree.
at some point.
I believe us working towards that is important
Yes.
at
Later.
the same time.
Let's get through this year. It's a
Yes.
big year with an override, and I think in this.
Yeah, we could do it
particular case,
at
makes a lot of
a
sense.
future town meeting. That's something, to her credit, Danielle has brought up, and just with everything going on, I haven't brought to the board. Dottie, if I may, not to put the school leadership in the wrong spot, but what are the chances that athletics and things like that will not be on top of the 28th of April?
I can actually, to take you out of the spotlight, because I have had
Okay.
conversations, unless you knew the answer, with the leadership there at the schools. They did originally have
can't remember which kind of a tournament that was going to be there that could have potentially caused some issues for us, not inside the building, but outside.
for parking.
And they've already made that change
Awesome.
for us. So they are
Makes
being
sense.
extremely supportive around our need, even the 2 gyms. I don't know that they'll do that permanently, during a school day at that time, but certainly this year they're understanding the position that we're at, and have been, both the DPW and the schools have been supportive to make this change this year. And this year, the 4th week just makes sense. It gives us a little more time. It's at the end of the month. Last year, if we didn't do this, the 4th week would have been school vacation week. So we do land, even with our bylaw, sometimes on that unfortunate
On a
date.
bad week.
Which again goes to why we probably should look to eventually make that change. Maybe at the annual town election next year, we can look at expanding it, and you guys can exercise the right to not do a public hearing and keep going with the date or not.
But having options will be nice.
But having the options, give you that. Because there's some years that we just don't have a lot on the ballot. There's just not a lot happening, and in those cases, we're seeing a really low turnout. And to extend the amount of money that we have to spend for that doesn't make a lot of sense for us. But it'll be your decision each year, but at least you have the options.
I concur. I think that for this coming year, it's important to do it outside of the vacation. And Dottie had some data that I was surprised at, the low turnout over the last 6 or 8 years on a Saturday compared to what it was previously, going back to 2017. And I think it's important that we give everybody the opportunity to be around to vote, even though, as Connor and Danielle said, there's all kinds of different ways to vote. But when you see 65% of the people not come out on June 10th, that's concerning to me.
Sorry, just to be clear, I promise I'm not trying to be contrarian. June 10th was a Tuesday.
No, I understand that, but I was just talking about the turnout.
Sure. We need more people to participate
Exactly,
in these essential
exactly.
questions about what kind of community they
And I
want
think
to
this is going to be a very critical election in a number of ways. So I concur. It should be on the 28th.
Yeah, and I did a quick spreadsheet today and sent it to the board. I think one of my numbers is transposed on this, though, for one of the years. I'll double check it, but the total votes cast and the percentage of total registered voters did go down significantly, but also, in 2020 is when we started to move it to Saturday, or 21, we moved it to Saturdays. That year had 488, of course, that was during COVID, and also, many of those elections weren't really highly contested, so that gives a lower turnout as well, but there's no denying that the turnout is less on the Saturdays. That said, we did get a lot of complaints back then with, can't vote on a Tuesday, I want to vote on a Saturday, and concerns about the safety at the schools, not just on the outside for the cars coming and going while people are outside, but also the security of people being concerned about having strangers in the school. So I think we did test that out, right? We tested it out by necessity because of COVID, but the data shows that it looks like it's going to be stronger on Tuesday. So I don't have a problem with going to the Tuesday, and I feel a lot better that there's not going to be activities or a tournament there that afternoon as well to keep everybody safe.
I'll send you that same data, and because my spreadsheet shows another line, and it will say what the contested races are. And you can see also the variance that happens, whether it was a Tuesday or a Saturday.
Oh, good.
That clearly show that the contested races and the select board always drive it higher. Selected for school committee is the next one, and then anything else after that will still be higher than when you have not contested.
Right.
So it's good data to look at, but mine has one more feature to it, which says what was contested in each one of them.
Yeah.
And every Saturday has been during school vacation week, right? So that's the other.
Yes.
It always falls around that, yes.
Yeah, so that's the other variable that will
Unfortunately,
be a big, interesting shift to look at.
But I think trying it out
I think, not
outside of
just after
school,
next year.
I think I definitely would be interested in looking that to give us options for it.
Yeah.
I always wonder too, because a lot of communities have town meetings on Saturdays, and I know that sometimes we hear that, like, if it only, it's always going to be, someone's always going to say, if only it was on this day, but to have the data to look at it is really helpful, so.
But I think what's important, Dottie, is that there are many ways to vote. So whether you're on vacation or you're not on vacation, or you're working or you're not working, there's all kinds of ways for people to vote. And so I think that's what the thing that I keep saying to people is, you have all these options. Don't default. And no excuses. You have the opportunity to vote in a number of different ways. So
And signing up for the town crier will remind you.
Exactly.
When the time comes.
Exactly.
Well, the highest voter
Exactly.
turnout was in 2017, where we had 17.15%.
Right. I remember that day very
That
well.
was the year Craig got elected. I'm not saying it was because of Craig.
Those are rather contentious.
Exactly, you're making the point.
So, all right, do you have any comments or questions? No? Okay. Craig, do you want to make a motion? Oh,
You don't need to.
We don't need a motion. We're not
Oh.
changing, we're not doing
By
anything.
default.
We're
It's
leaving
by
it.
It's default.
It's by default.
If you're going with that, then I'm gonna start putting the packet together.
I mean, if you'd like to ceremonially
yeah.
say we're
What I-
not
what I-
moving the election.
What I'd like to do is have people know that it was a unanimous decision.
Fair enough.
So,
So I move to have the town election April 28th, 2026.
Second.
that's Bodger and Lamb, all in favor? Unanimous.
And I
Thank you.
think Danielle's sticking around. You don't have to if you don't want to, but
In regards to the
the next
fees?
one.
Oh, yeah, I can
I'm
stay
gonna
here for
just
that
give a
one,
quick
yes, yeah.
summary.
I mean, I don't know a lot, I don't know as much as you, but I'll stay.
Sure.
So
And I do, just before, I do want to acknowledge Superintendent Cabral is here, and school committee member Jim Hamilton is here. So I appreciate you both being here for this tonight. It wasn't as spicy as it can be here, so might have been a little boring, but thank you for being here.
Sorry, Dottie. One last thing before we move on. There's a part of Danielle's memo that's really important that we kind of glossed over, which is on the second half of it is I asked Danielle to lay out the 35-day deadline for override ballot language in there because obviously that's something the board is interested in doing. It would be election on Tuesday, April 28th. The absolute last day Danielle's office could get final ballot language for an override would be Monday, March 23rd. We like to play it safe here, so that means really I would probably target a week minimum, more than that. So that gives the town till mid-March to finalize that, which is doable.
I did get clarification
Yes.
from the secretary's office because I had a question on that because of holidays and we haven't done a Tuesday in quite some time. And they did confirm with me that the drop dead deadline on the 35-day would be Tuesday the 24th.
Okay.
But I agree with what Connor's saying, generally speaking, that's the deadline. That is the language as you want it on the ballot, vetted
Dollar amounts.
from here, dollar amounts. Exactly. I do nothing besides take what you give me and send it to our ballot printing, including saying yes, no, whatever it is. So exactly as is, it has to be vetted by, town council and voted by yourself. So yeah, you don't want to leave yourself Monday and then find that there's a problem with the way you have the language.
So I envision the select board taking a final vote at probably your first meeting in March, which means we have to wrap up the finalization process of the override specifics in February, and we are working on having a budget done by a baseline non-override budget done by January, and we'll start some drafting as well. But the subcommittee's meeting Wednesday at 6 at RO is okay, great. To have a listening session on that subject. We really encourage people to go. And then another one on December 10th at Frothingham on the same subject. We're not doing PACE again. The facts are the facts. They exist. And we would rather hear from folks if there's any version or approach to this that you can see supporting in any way, whether that's a menu, whether it's tiered. That's what we would like to hear. So, sorry.
Thank you. All right.
Did you want me to hang out?
For item 11, Dottie, sorry, I jumped in front of Dottie, so I apologize.
Sure. So item 12 is the voting for the setting of fees for the town clerk's office, licenses and
No,
permits.
I'm sorry. Oh, that's
11 and 12 kind of are partly?
yes. So no, 11 is we skipped 11.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You're right. All right. Item 11 is discussion and possible vote for general law, chapter 53, section 18B, providing information relating to annual town election questions.
Sure, thank you, Dottie. So there's not a memo in your packet. The general law here is actually not super long, so we just put it in. But in the interest of understanding, how do we get information to voters, right? Because PACE obviously was this like really, really time intensive, labor intensive, hour intensive approach that nonetheless, there's still folks at the meeting on November 10th last week, and I'm not criticizing, but saying we didn't know or we didn't appreciate it be this bad. And so an option that I want the board to consider, and this is the first we're socialized, so you certainly are not under any time pressure to vote, but there is a provision of state law, as you cited, that by local acceptance through a select board, not town meeting, which I've confirmed with legal counsel, allows cities and towns to do non-political mailers by the town on ballot questions. Sort of like a municipal red book. So when there's a ballot question for a state level ballot initiative, you give a red book. It has a kind of pretty cut and dry factual, this is what the ballot question would do, and then there's a yes argument and a no argument. Same general idea. Municipalities can adopt this and have the same thing. I think it's worth your strong consideration because as we just talked about the timeline, this is going to happen fast. And there's no newspaper in Easton. And outside of, the PACE process, you're kind of leaving it to Facebook and word of mouth, which is not optimal for factual information.
Well, I'll add whatever option we will recommend some sort of path forward. I think it's not as straightforward in terms of a ballot question that appears on the ballot, because whether it's menu or tiered, they're more complicated. And I think that having more information at your fingertips to digest it, and then a way to reach back to us through budget to ask questions would be hugely beneficial.
I don't know if the book can say contact these people.
Oh, and we in the town though can say,
Oh, yeah,
if
sure,
you have
for
questions.
sure.
As a budget
Yep.
subcommittee, we can say,
Absolutely.
I'm happy to play that role as a
Right,
hearing
and
officer.
we did briefly talk about the subject at budget subcommittee, and my recollection is that generally the feeling from folks there was,
It's a great idea. Like, I'm a big fan of it because it's like the cliff notes before you, and to reach anybody that we can.
yeah, it would go to every registered, every household.
So how do we,
Registered voter, household.
how do we figure out who writes the narrative commentary and
That's a great
how we
question.
fact check that to make sure it's accurate?
How does the state do that today?
I can't answer
Yeah, I
the state
can't answer
question.
that
So, under state law, I believe that the town would do the statement of what the ballot purpose is. And then the town could solicit yes and no opinions that under the law, the town's legal counsel picks. So that would be municipal legal counsel.
Okay, so we just put out a,
Well, I believe, again, we have not done this, but my understanding is that if it kind of defaults, I believe, to ballot committees, right? So like if a citizen group forms a yes committee or a no committee, then you could just go straight to them. But again, Danielle did some research in communities, and there's not really hard and fast guidelines on that part, except what the law says, which is your attorney will
It's
vet
very
it.
legal counsel driven, for
Yeah.
sure, and they're making sure and monitoring that there's a fair and equitable
Right.
situation that's happening, right?
Right, so that it's not, the town administrator who
It's kind of
puts the
not a
budget
lot of
forward.
communities do it. It's kind of an up and coming.
There's
lot
not
of
a
people are
ton,
talking
it's
about
a
'em.
handful of them.
Yeah, and they each approach them slightly different based on the research that we did, but.
I think
other
it's a
than
good idea. I think it's important that people who are listening or hearing this for the first time, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more, are assured, because, people are going to be suspicious and think, well, they're just going to say yes,
No, you
or
have
pick
to-
somebody
you
who
have
says
to
yes.
include
So.
opportunities for no as
Right.
well, for no
Well, that's
votes.
what I mean,
Yeah.
but also that the information, I mean, there was a lot of bad information intentionally and just general misinformation for the last one, with numbers that weren't true, everything that could be easily disputed. So I feel much better knowing that an independent third-party legal person will be looking at these and making sure that they're accurate, and it's not our involvement for that.
And
Book include like a reminder of all the ways to vote? Is that within the realm of what legally is allowed to
It
be?
is for the red book, but I'm not.
yeah, we
I'm
would
not
have to
familiar
check.
with that.
So we checked who's doing it. Maybe could we get a copy, like a PDF
Yeah.
from a handful of those folks and see what theirs looked like?
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be really helpful.
There's a cost, I think, what do we estimate, 10 to 20,000?
It would be about 10,000.
10,000. So we would either ask for a release of certain Stonehill funds or go to a finance committee because this was not necessarily planned as part of the budget. But I think, and we have not yet backed out, how would this impact the timing of the board finalizing the ballot language, right? Because it's one thing to have a 35-day mandate to have the ballot language to the clerk for the ballot purposes, but I don't think we want Danielle's office to have to be trying to get the ballots and these books put together with a minimal.
Just to be clear, my office doesn't put the books together. We provide your office with a listing of who they go to.
Fair enough.
It's very important that our office, as you know, stays out of these types of things, but it would be very helpful for our office to have a red book, quote unquote, a one pager to answer those people's questions that do ask us when they come to vote, especially for these things. What does this mean? And quite frankly, we're not allowed to tell them what it means.
Which
You know,
can feel
we
frustrating for
And
folks.
very frustrating.
Including the staff.
Exactly, 100%. Where all we can do is say, if you're not ready to vote today, you need to go to the website and those types of things. So in that case, it would be helpful, but Connor, you're right, the timing is the biggest problem that I think you're gonna find, to make sure that it's out in time before ballots are also going out, which is usually 3 weeks prior to the election.
But if the board is interested in it, Danielle and I will get to the bottom of the last couple of questions on it and get something back to you.
Yeah, I think it's
a
well
great
worth
idea.
it.
I think it's a great idea.
Great.
All right, we need a vote.
No, I would not at this point. I feel, for frankly my own sake, I would like to get a little bit more detail from Danielle's peers and see what their books look like, have the board have examples of those, and then you could do a vote to accept it.
Okay.
Because I don't know if by voting to accept it, you create an affirmative obligation to do it.
That's exactly what I was just gonna ask you. That's the only
So
one
I
that
just
I'm
want to be certain of that before you vote it.
Sure of whether or not you have to
wise.
do it every time.
Try.
Great. Next is the vote setting of fees for the town clerk's office license and permits.
Sure, so there's a memo in here, I'd say through Danielle, because Danielle was not necessarily chomping at the bit to raise fees, but as you know, the town has increased fees on nearly all permits in the wake of the override failing. We need a revenue that we can get, and so this is not necessarily like a scientific market benchmarking. It's a 25% increase. The clerk's fees have been quite static for quite some time, and so I recommend that you adopt the fees as presented.
Okay.
Any questions?
Um,
Greg?
I move to accept the setting of new fees for the town clerk office's licenses and permits.
Second.
That's Bodger and Lamb. All in favor? Unanimous.
Sorry, just for the minutes, Elizabeth, for July 1st,
January
January
1st,
1st,
please,
2026.
Give us a little time to, make the right notifications around the public, things that might impact them.
All right.
Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you, Danielle.
All right, item 13, contract extension WAT 2025-01 Styles Company Incorporated. Supply and delivery of cold water meters, 1 year. So this contract extension is for the continued supply and delivery of cold water meters. Contract WAT 2025-01 was approved last year, included a provision that the year-long contract may be extended for up to 2 additional 1-year terms. This extension would extend the term for a second term. Both DPW Director David Field and Connor recommend approval. Any comments or questions on this?
Move to approve WAT 2025-01 Styles Company supply and delivery of cold water meters, 1 year.
Second.
Bodger and Lamb, all in favor? Unanimous. Terrific. Item 14, acceptance of the minutes of October 20th, 2025.
So moved, Bodger.
Second.
Bodger and Lamb, all in favor? Unanimous. Town administrator notes, anything else? Assistant town administrator notes, Sean?
Nope, just encourage everyone to come to the budget subcommittee public forum on Wednesday. Jen and Jim and other members of the budget subcommittee will be there, and hopefully we can get some good feedback as we head into the budget season, and we can incorporate that feedback into our decision.
What time is that?
It's at 6 o'clock at the RO cafeteria.
Okay. Select board notes.
No, I know some of you attended Veterans Day. I was not here, so I look forward to hearing a recap on the event.
Great. I just want to mention, I got a call today from Kelly at the Beanery, and they're really struggling with the road construction happening. And I just want to put this out there for people. It's very interesting and unique because I was thinking about and talking with her about like what did we do in Foundry Street when we had that the disruption there. It didn't seem as bad as it is up here, and part of the reason for that is she's only open for morning for breakfast, so that's like the worst time to be on Washington Street right now. At least the villa is open at night, and so the construction is all packed up for the day by then. So I just want to remind people, they're very good to our community. They do all kinds of things to support our youth groups and sports and everything else. So if you can take a little bit of extra time to try to go in and stop in and get a coffee, we're going to work with the contractors to make sure that, you know, that there is pausing in the traffic for people to be able to get in and out of there. It is going to be tough, but if not, then really double up on Saturdays and Sundays, because we want to make sure they're feeling the impact of it, and we want to do everything we can as a community and neighbors to this really great business that we all value to try to help them. And just wanted to throw that out there for people. And we'll continue to try to find ways or brainstorm. If anyone has any great ideas, let us know, but spread it in the community and let people know. Don't forget to support our vendors that are in construction areas.
Buy holiday gift cards from them for
That's a great idea. See, brainstorming already,
revenue.
Jamie.
Give them some forward-paying revenue, yep.
Jamie for the win. Coffee gift cards and jewelry from the downtown.
You're like really good at this whole thing. Impressed.
All right, we're going to go into an executive session under Purpose 3 of Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with all bargaining units. And we are going to adjourn into executive session, not to return to open session. So I would get a motion a second, and then it'll be a roll call vote.
Okay, I move to go to executive session.
Second.
That's Bodger and Lamb.
Stebbins, yes.
Stacy, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Full Janetti, yes?
Barger, yes.
All right, great, thank you, and thank you to ECAT, for Melissa and Joe for always doing a great job for us, and we appreciate all their efforts. So have a good night, everyone. See you in a couple of weeks.